market a lot of tech companies. They do sit pretty much at the top of the food chain there, though, as they will become the first. It's predicted that by 2021 they will be the first American-based company to ever reach $1 trillion valuation. They're in the hundreds of millions of dollars a year right now in revenue, which we'll get more into later. Bargaining power of suppliers. Apple is so big that they have more control over their suppliers than the suppliers have over themselves at this point. Bargaining power of customers. We're all, not everyone, but everyone is affected by Apple's marketing and the quality of their products, either in gravitating to them, like myself. I'm a total Apple fanboy. I have an Apple phone, Apple computer, Apple TV, all the way down the line. Just, it all works together that way.
Loyal customer.
Yeah, I mean, they've always taken care of me, that's why. But you'll also see they affect people. Some people buy Android just because they don't want to be on the Apple fan boat. So, you know, you love them or hate them. There's no middle ground. Nobody is ambivalent towards Apple. Everybody cares. Threat of new entrants.
But what could be the power of the suppliers? The people, for instance, Android, in one of my classes, do Android versus Samsung. What is the best? Okay.
Well, Android is the operating system, and Samsung.
Sorry. I meant.
iOS versus Android?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So the customers nowadays with the technology, they have more power of what they are saying, social media, people who are against Apple. One good thing, right, you may say, is like the power of the customers on the good side as well. Because the people who love Apple, love iPhone, they love every product that the company offers, right? Okay.
Threat of new entrants. One of Apple's, and this goes into the sustainability of their business. The only threat to their sustainability is the fact that eventually they will conquer the entire world and control your entire life. And at that point, there's just nowhere to go. But other than that, the only real threat, and one of the keys to their sustainability, is when they see new technologies coming up from smaller companies, they tend to buy those companies so that they can own that technology. Prime example is the gyroscope inside the iPhone. The thing that made the iPhone so revolutionary came from a small company. One of my sister's best friends, she was the chief managing, or like the vice president of the company right before Apple bought it. And she's like a 100 millionaire now. It was her husband's nerdy tech friends were building stuff in their garage and started a small company, and they needed someone with a business degree, and she was the only person they knew with a business degree. They hired her, and 5 years later they were developing and working on miniaturizing the gyroscope. Apple saw that, knew that's how much of an eye Apple keeps on the industry. Saw that, knew it was going to be important to them, and they said, we will buy your company for this much, and we will then pump these hundreds of millions of dollars in our resources behind your research. We just need it to be this small by this date, and then we own the rights to it from now on. And done deal. That's why it took 5 years before Samsung or anybody else could build a smartphone that auto-orientated when you turned it. Because Apple
Yes.
owned the technology. They buy things before it becomes a need. And they've done that with several other things. The company that did all the research on white light, blue light, which we actually perceive as white, but it's emitted from our phones and iPads and computer screens. It's a neurological stimulant. The company did this, paid all this money to do all this research and everything, and they finally had definitive proof, and Apple bought them and kept their research and developed the Night Shift app and baked it right into their iOS, rather than let that company produce its own app and and rather than let that company struggle through the process of growing and eventually making it. Apple just scoops them up, puts everything they have behind it, and boom, they're huge.
Could we say that threat of the new entrants is actually something good for them? It's like, new entrants,
Yes,
I'm going to buy you.
'cause they buy 'em.
I'm big.
They pick them up.
Yeah.
They use it. That's part of Steve Jobs' philosophies, think different. And threat of substitutes, they're developing what's gonna be next, so it's not really a threat, it's their future. So they're the ones trying to figure out how to get the smartphone built into the palm of your hand so that it just shoots out.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Competition
technology
marketing,
10 years from now?
analysis, like I said, they stay on top of their business and, internal and external. They monitor every aspect of everything from the top to the bottom. They know every little hobbyist who's in his garage trying to build a nuclear weapon. They know his name and they've talked to him already about if he has any tech ideas they can use, and they will buy them out when it's time. And within their own company, every detail that you need to run a business right, they address it. Finances and ethics. On the far left of the screen there, you have their new campus, their new headquarters in Seattle. It is massive, looks a lot like a spaceship, and it is the first company, Fortune 500 company in the world whose headquarters is on, yeah.
Wow.
And that's like 10 stories tall, and
That
to
is
give you an idea of how,
It has been already built, or it's a new
Yes.
project already?
they're almost done building it. They're putting the finishing
Yeah.
touches. They actually there's a really nice picture. They have a visitors park, because you obviously can't go walk around inside their headquarters all day.
Yeah.
But they have a park outside with a huge pavilion. There's an Apple store, a cafe, and a museum, and then it's a huge park around it, because they own all this land. But it is the first corporate facility to go 100% renewable energy. It's all solar and geothermal powered, and they are that close to becoming a zero waste company as well. Everything that this building produces gets recycled. Yeah, they're very, very big on all that. They're working on getting all their manufacturing. They're at like a 90% recycle rate.
Wow.
So they started that about 10 years ago when they started buying back your old equipment. When you go to buy a new computer, they're like, do you have an old computer? We'll
Yeah.
take it from you. We'll give you $50 for what you were about to throw in the trash, and we'll dispose of the hazardous stuff properly and recycle the rest. Financially,
risk.
like I said, they're on the verge of becoming the first $1 trillion valuation of a US company ever. For the last fiscal quarter, most recent one, 52.6 billion in revenue. So up 12% from before, and that's considering the small hit on market share in the smartphone market that they took, and there was a supply chain issue that they saw coming, so they moved the date and time and minimized that hit. But their market share of the tech industry as a whole is up over 20%. If anybody remembers, they took out a whole page ad in the New York Times back in 96. When they had a
1996.
3% market share, and they opened the first Apple store, and there was a whole page, and it just said 3% down, 97% to go. So in 10 years, they've picked up 17% of the computer and smartphone market. They own a fifth of all technology in the world. So, good luck with that, guys. But ethically, they've advanced, not just within their company, which is a leader in LGBTQ gay rights and everything, pay equity for women especially. They have very, very progressive and world-leading diversity programs. As I mentioned, their whole recycling and environmental program is mind-blowing. And they're just all over all that kind of stuff. But they have now taken on the responsibility with the whole fiasco with Foxconn, one of their suppliers. They now go down their supply chain and demand revisions of suppliers.
Oh,
their
yeah.
Policies.
Because this is a great part of the corporate responsibility.
Yes.
Okay, it's not only what are you doing, but who are you working with, and that happens a lot in emerging markets and other
Because they
markets
ended
like.
up dropping Foxconn, and that was a, $20 billion a year loss for Foxconn, because Foxconn wouldn't rehabilitate their employee treatment and their
Correct.
recycling.
It's not just what
programs.
you do. Who are you? The third parties. This is one of the questions I asked yesterday. What is the cultural diversity that you encounter in your company? Number one, your employees, your own staff here and in China. Your customers,
Not
your
just that, but
clientele.
where they then follow, having these parts built by these companies, they want to know who you're buying the raw materials from.
That would be the
They're going
third
out
party.
to the
So,
lines,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all the way down the line, people that don't even know that their end product is going to end up in Apple's hands, and Apple's showing up at their doorstep saying, hey, we
Correct.
need you to do this because our number one parts builder buys his aluminum from you, and you don't treat your employees right, and you're dumping waste into this stream nearby the mine. So you're gonna have to change all that, or we're gonna put you out of business, because they can do the things.
Okay.
So they're using their financial success for ethical behaviors. SWOT analysis, found me a new graphic for it that I really like. Strength, everything, they do everything well. They don't have a weakness. They seriously don't. Other than people not liking them because of how big they are.
When I can give you like a lot of parts of weaknesses because of those essays I read from my students, and I'm a big fan of Samsung and other companies. So you have to buy everything. It's like if I want that when I'm using my.
How is me saying I've produced a superior product, here is the price, which is, by the way, below the price of my competition for any comparable product, when a comparable product exists?
It's more expensive than others. So that could be, but I know you love.
In the long run,
but
in the long run, Apple, a MacBook is cheaper than, you pay $900 for a MacBook Air. It works out of the box, and it's going to be fine.
It's
It's going to
durable.
last you 5 years. You pay $300 for an HP or a Lenovo. Now you have to pay $150 to get any of that software on it to work, because it's all trials, it's all bloatware. Next thing you know, you've had the thing for 6 months, you've barely gotten anything done on it, and it's in the shop now because you've gotten 100 viruses on it. It's more expensive now. You just passed the $1,200 mark 6 months after purchase. How is that more affordable?
Okay, I don't want to go over this.
And there's just nothing, and a meteorite or something might come and wipe us all out. That would be a major weakness. Opportunities, the next big thing. If they invent, the next iPhone or the next iPad, the last 5 world-changing gadgets that got invented came from Apple. So the biggest opportunity is number 6. And the only real threat is God and forces of nature wiping them out. Like, seriously. In summary, just a solid company, obviously. Oops, let me go back then. I am over
Very
time,
good.
so,
That is good.
but one other trick they pull that I was going to bring up, I can't remember what it was now. Any questions?